Joe Rogan Podcast, check it out.
The Joe Rogan Experience.
Train by day, Joe Rogan Podcast by night, all day.
Oh, hello, David.
Hello, Joe. How are you?
What's going on with your mask, man?
Nah, I just fucking with you. I just want to see. I just want to see how you react. All this Rona talk.
All this Rona talk.
Sick of it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Headphones or no headphones?
Oh, I'll do the phones.
Okay, there you go. I just don't want to be the only one.
No, it's all good. Here, I turn them up right here.
Yeah.
Check. Here we go. What's up, Fingers? He's over there typing. Every few minutes he goes like this. Let's go. Let's do this shit.
So first of all, man, congratulations. You're the first guy to beat the system. You're the first guy to get fucked over by the system, go public with it, and then get your money. I've never heard it happen before. I don't think it's ever happened before.
Bro, I still can't wrap my mind around it. But I do have to shout out Chris McCarthy over at CBS Viacom. That guy, you know, when we were working this out, his approach was someone who was actually trying to resolve something.
Came through.
It was amazing, man.
It's amazing. It's a happy ending because usually those artist gripes, they never get resolved. Not to where the artist feels comfortable or happy with it.
Right.
They always feel bitter and angry. They got fucked over, and someone else is a producer, and they're making millions of dollars off of your work, and they continue to sell it, and make money off of it. And
well, I could say, with a high degree of honesty. Not to say I was never angry about it, but I don't think I was ever like bitter. I mean, by this point in my life, I wasn't bitter.
You would joke about it. You were angry about it, but not to the point where it fucked with your head, but you would joke about it.
Well, I mean, you know, the bottom line is no matter what happens to you, you gotta keep going.
You gotta keep going.
And bitterness is quite cumbersome.
Yeah, it's bad for you.
Right. So, you know, jokes is a way of shaking that off or processing something with the alchemy of levity.
Yeah, holding grudges, bitterness, shit's very bad for you. It doesn't ever help.
No, and now we're getting on in age. You know what I mean? When we were younger, it's fine to hold a grudge. Mm-hmm. You didn't realize how, you know.
Didn't realize it was fucking with you. What is that expression? That it's about? Oh, it's about jealousy. The jealousy is the only poison that affects the container that's holding it.
Right. That's exactly right.
Yeah.
But bitterness, the same thing.
Same thing.
Yeah, it's not good.
Yeah, it's just not good for you. You got to be able to let shit go.
Yeah, I mean.
But in your case, you made a ploy. Like you said what happened, how you felt about it, and they were like, "He's right."
I think, yeah.
Let's give him the money.
It wasn't a court of law. I don't believe I would have got anything.
It's kind of amazing.
In a court of law. I think in a court of public opinion, it was a good time for me to say my piece. And through the years, it wasn't something that I would harp on. I mean, when I did interviews and stuff, people would always ask me about it. But it was something I was actually reluctant to talk about. It was a lot.
Yeah. Well, it's hard for other people to relate to this idea that you want more money. You know, you're talking about regular people, and you're saying this thing, even though it is yours.
Money is
hard for people.
Money is, if you look at life, anything in life, through the framework of money, you'll miss most of the picture.
Yeah.
And
the battle starts in 5.
You know, in business, especially this stage in our careers, you realize through the years, people play incentives. You know what I mean? That if they incentivize a certain way, that's the way they're going to behave. So what they want is never really surprising. How they get there is where all the surprises are. So I feel like I can forgive somebody for playing an incentive. It's disappointing. But what was so remarkable when I walked away from the show, right, is that it was against incentive. So people couldn't understand it at the time. It was so much money. How could you do that? And blah, blah, blah. But you know, if I had taken that money and finished the show, I would have got the money, but I might never have been the same.
I think it was one of the most gangster moves in the history of entertainment.
But
it made you a legend. And the fact that you then started doing shows like, I heard like Dave's doing a show in the park in Seattle. He got like a box. He pulls out a speaker and just starts doing stand-up.
That was in Portland, yeah. Because in that sense it was freeing.
Yeah.
Something about, you know, I was geared a certain way growing up because I wanted to make it in show business. And boy, that shit fell all the way apart. And as far as I knew, my career was over. It was over.
Yeah, but your career wasn't over. You just decided you were gonna just sort of lay back for a while.
In hindsight, yeah. But when it was happening,
You really felt like it was over.
I never seen these things before. I didn't see anyone else do this and get back up. I didn't see, and the drum beat is crazy, smoke swag, this is that.
Yeah.
It was a wild experience. The way people close to you react, like I failed or I ruined my life. You know, and then when you're cold, that phone don't ring that often. And then I had over a decade of sitting in that choice, but I didn't languish in just that experience. I started doing stand-up for much better reasons than me. I still enjoyed it. I started seeing the places where I was performing. Normally when you're like successful in comedy, you get off the plane or the bus, you do the hit, you go back to the hotel, you get back on the bus, you don't really see anything. You don't really, like even now, like this last run we did here in Austin, we was here for weeks. And then I got to see Austin. I got to find restaurants. I met people that I probably called when I'm in town, stuff like that. And it was like that all over the world, not just the country. I started going around just seeing the world. I got overwhelmed with this idea that none of my information was firsthand. I read it in books, I heard it from friends, and I was eager to see something for myself. And I kind of entrenched this philosophy that my memories are some of the most valuable things that I have. These first-hand experiences.
Yeah.
Can't take it away from if I reminisce on a nice day, then, it beats it. Remembering something is neurologically almost identical, I feel, to experiencing it.
Yeah, I think that there's a real value in having experiences where you do it on purpose. Like you go someplace to have experiences and think about having those experiences. Because most of the time, like like you were saying, if we do shows, you just kind of show up, you do the show, and then you go home. But if you like set aside some days to do things, like that's very valuable for your perspective, which is ultimately valuable for your act. It's valuable for everything because you're choosing to take in more information and data specifically to enhance your perspective on life.
Right, you learn things.
Yeah.
You gain perspective, which is very valuable for a comedian and a person. And it's humbling and it's empowering at the same time.
Yeah, because we know comics, like, that was a big theme during, like, the 90s, right? Where comics would all tell the same stories about being on the road. All the jokes were about airplane travel.
Airline jokes.
Hotel food and that kind of shit. And the maid, do not disturb, knocking on your door. Because that's what they related to, right?
The road warrior.
Yeah, that was that was their life's perspective. And it kind of shows that interesting experiences are very valuable. But you don't think of them as valuable, you think of them as recreational. But they really are valuable.
Right. And I call, any information is valuable. I call it expensive knowledge, right? It's like your buddy that's a war veteran or something. You don't want to know the shit he knows if you knew what he had to do to know these things. That's what they call expensive knowledge. I would not recommend quitting your show the way I did.
Yeah.
If you can avoid it.
Yeah. But the way you did it was so cool. Because, you kind of drifted off.
I promise I wasn't trying to be cool. It was a series of troubleshooting. It was like, fuck it, man. Like, what are you gonna do? You gotta, whatever you go through, you gotta live. You gotta make a way and find your happiness. And I'm lucky. I'm in show business, which is a pretty it's a multi-dimensional career path. You can just think about it.
Yeah. Especially today.
Oh my God. Yeah. And another time, would I have ever gotten that money? I don't think so.
No, because there would have been no social media, no pressure.
Right. No dropping specials on the gram, no comment section, no moveon.org,
And if you had gone to, say, like the Tonight Show and made a pitch like that, they probably wouldn't even think.
No, of course not. I had a gripe with someone that owned the sick to the media.
Yeah.
What am I gonna do? Tell the media on them? It's never gonna work.
Right. They would definitely edit that part out. Be like, why is Dave's section only 4 minutes long?
Yeah, edit it, spin it, whatever it is they do. But again, all parties involved, I thought in repairing that situation, and I don't want to go all into what those conversations were like, other than to say, and this is not like I'm just happy because they paid it. It was class act. It was like
That's beautiful.
it really was. It wasn't. It was very encouraging.
That is very encouraging.
I think that coming up behind us, these kids are gonna be playing in a whole new ball game than we did.
I hope so. I think there's more accountability now because of the internet, because of people's ability to express themselves is so much different than it used to be. So you can't just be some ruthless, evil executive just fucking over the artists like they did during the in the music business. And I mean, it's legendary. The music business is legendary for doing that.
Man, look. First of all, we gotta get into this music business thing in a second. But I was looking on the internet. It was a bunch of waitresses talking about what celebrities did or didn't tip them. Nobody can fuck up anymore.
It's true. Yeah. They got a whole website dedicated to bad tippers.
Yeah. All of a sudden, breaking news: Ellen DeGeneres is a bitch. What? What? Who knows? By the way, I like Ellen a lot. I'm just saying this. This is what we're faced with.
Yeah.
I
don't know.
Personalities get yelped.
Yeah. Oh, but the thing is, like, if you talk to enough people, you're going to have disagreements with people. And if someone if they curate only those disagreements and only take it from the perspective of those people that you had problems with, they could paint you out to be a piece of shit. Even if you're a really nice person who just doesn't take any nonsense from people. If you talk to enough nonsense people, you're going to have enough conflicts. And if they only curate those conflicts and make, like, a compilation, like, Dave talked to this guy and told him to eat shit.
Well, that's why I usually don't do interviews. Because I feel like just about fame in general. I see you go through similar shit. It's like they blow you up like a balloon and twisting all these wild shapes like a balloon animal.
Yeah.
Just once you're in that thing, they can control the perception. So why fuck with it?
Gaslighting.
Yeah.
They gaslight people.
And again, people play incentives. I'll give you an example. I'm not. Years ago, not that long ago, you remember when all those writings of Gandhi came out? They're like, all this really racist shit. Have you ever read this?
I did, yeah.
And you know the context of that. At the time he wrote those things, he was an attorney in South Africa. And South Africa had a racist legal system. And in order to be successful, you had to be a good racist. And he was just succeeding. I'm sure he wasn't writing all this nigga shit in India. I shouldn't have said that, but I forgot I was on that.
We're on the internet. It's fun.
Didn't
Gandhi, there's people that were upset at him because he slept with a bunch of girls too, right? Didn't
they Me
tempt
Too
himself?
Gandhi?
Yeah. I think he tempted himself by sleeping. I think that was the way he described it. Like he would sleep with young girls.
To tempt himself.
Yeah. I think that was the...
The evil Knievel of pussy. and now I will tempt myself. The fuck is this?
I think I'm remembering that correct.
That's what I tell my wife. I'm going to the titty bar to tempt myself.
Yeah.
He tortured himself.
Tortured himself.
He called
There
it.
goes.
Is that
He
what he
called it
said?
torture.
Yeah, let's get this right because I actually revere him.
I shine in darkness.
Fucking ad blockers. Sexual Torment of a Saint. A new book reveals Gandhi tortured himself with the young women who worshipped him and often shared his bed. Yeah. And so a lot
Daily
of
Mail, so this has got to be true.
he was killed by an assassin in 1946, huh? Wow.
Well, that part was in the movie. I don't know about all this torturing himself.
I didn't know it was that. I thought it was later.
And then they just show a picture of him walking with some, we don't know. I don't know.
But go back to what it said there. Gandhi,
30 seconds before you
a
attack.
London-trained lawyer-turned-guru, was a ruthless cult leader who enslaved his followers with such bizarre sexual demands that it became difficult for many people to take him seriously, even during his own lifetime. What?
That crazy book.
Oh, it claims. Gandhi Naked Ambition claims that Gandhi.
Someone wrote a book called Gandhi Naked Ambition.
Goes so far as to suggest that the draconian practices instituted by this iconic figure in the ashrams he founded prompted the perverted 20th century cults of Jim Jones and Jonestown.
Okay, all right. Then someone wrote this book. I look at Gandhi as the person that fought against white supremacy in his homeland. So there you go.
Yeah, so he liked to
People
torture
fuck
himself
fun.
a little bit.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
He liked to lay down and get hard-ons. What's the big deal?
I'm sorry I brought that up. I didn't know Naked Ambition just hit the stands. What was it, Gandhi? What's it called?
Yeah, but how would anyone know whether or not he tortured himself? Like, does his writing say that? Did he talk about it openly? Did he like to just get blue balled?
Yes.
Lay there?
Yeah, see, it's that though, man. Like, it's all this, like, you know. I hate the debunking of great legacy.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, imagine how the whites might feel if they tear down a Civil War statue. This kind of thinking is that. In my opinion. Like, now we're debunking Gandhi.
You know, it was really funny when they started tearing down statues. Trump was like, what are they going to do next? They're going to tear down George Washington? And everybody's like, what the fuck? They're not going to do that. And then they started tearing down George Washington statues. They tear down all the statues.
I mean, George Washington did own slaves.
He did.
You know.
Yeah. So did Thomas Jefferson. Right?
Yeah. Many of the framers.
Yeah. It's one of those things where you shouldn't revere what they did, but what a statue is supposed to represent is here's an image of some person who's historically significant and established in the country. Doesn't mean
right. That's the analogy.
Yeah.
To me, Gandhi fought against white supremacy and was very successful, and then they decades later start tearing the statue down.
Yeah. The worst thing he did was get hard-ons.
Well, yeah, I mean, you know,
lay there and get tortured.
I'm not trying to put no value judgment on any of this shit. I'm just saying he did expel the British peacefully, which was unprecedented in the world. A peaceful expulsion of oppressors.
Yeah. It's interesting how peaceful protest resonates for years and years and years. And when someone does something significant, like remember that image, I'm sure you do, of that, there's a video of it, of a monk in Vietnam lighting himself on fire. Against the war. It's on the cover of one of the Rage Against the Machine albums.
Yeah, that was great.
Crazy. But everybody remembers that.
Yeah, there was another guy who did that underneath the window of the Pentagon in the United States during the Vietnam War.
Oh, did he?
Yeah, white fella. I can't remember his name.
Right there.
That's a way to go.
I mean, but Gandhi didn't call it a peaceful protest. He called it civil disobedience. The idea being that I will not participate in my own oppression.
Why would anybody concentrate on power?
Yeah, you know what I mean? Yeah. Gandhi got so much pussy. Let me tell you about this Gandhi. You fuck this. Yeah, it's that.
It's a weird move, though.
What, they're just laying there?
Just lay there and get hard and go like...
Beat it, bitch. Go on, get some sleep. It's crazy. I think that,
I've still got
I don't know, man. I don't know where this culture is headed. I don't know what the fuck everybody's doing anymore. It's COVID year. Like, I'm a little packed away. You know, I've been out.
Yeah.
It's doing something to us collectively. Like, we talked about this the last time I was here, and I told you I was going to come to the show. I wasn't bullshitting. Remember that day I said, I'll come after the inauguration.
Yeah.
Because we all smelled that coming.
Yeah.
It's a tough one.
It's a weird one. We're being tested. It's
I ever
testing the
wanted since I'm in
foundations of our
SNL.
culture.
Like the moon.
The foundations
I
of our
shine in
civilizations,
darkness.
testing how well we can be peaceful with each other and make sense and get along, and how much we value getting along with each other, and how much there's just so much divisiveness, because there's never been a time in history where the whole economy and the whole society basically just got frozen for a year and stuck in some weird sort of side patch where we had to figure things out fresh. People lost, like, how many people lost their jobs? How many people lost their lives? How many people lost their grandparents?
Their loved ones, that's right.
Yeah. It was a weird fucking year. Everybody's very sensitive, and everybody's quick to pull the trigger. And then you got everybody there's so many people that have just been online all day long this whole year, and that's not good for you.
I still think at the core of all of this what you call weirdness is these profound trust issues. And that's like I said on Letterman, these people that hoarded toilet paper and hoarded and you know, bought bullets out. You know, none of these things are good signs. I think that something about the nature of COVID punched us square in our American identity. We're individuals, you know, the mask and all these things I don't think are actually oppressive, but I can see why Americans feel they are.
Yeah.
They just don't trust the messenger anymore.
There's too many mixed signals. It's hard. In the beginning, when Fauci was saying you don't have to wear a mask, and then eventually they were saying you gotta wear one.
That was a
you should wear
huge
two.
mistake. I agree. Yeah, if you give people information that may not be true, even if you have the intention of having them behave in a way that's beneficial for everybody, the misinformation, the way you achieve these things, the separation from ends and means can be a profound problem if you're managing something like a nation of 300 plus million. You need to be able to trust an institution. So now you'll hear Americans say shit like, they should fix this, they should fix that. But in reality, the idea is we are that. Nobody feels that way.
Well, we did before. I think people had faith in the government in the sense that worst case scenario, even if they're incompetent, everything will stay together. Now you realize, no, it doesn't have to stay together. It can be irreversibly fucked. Like I think some of our cities are right now. I think there's some sections of LA. I don't know how the fuck they're gonna bounce back. You drive down the street and you see everything boarded up. You go, how does this come back? How long does it take? Does it take a year? Does it take 10 years? Like what is this?
And I have no point of reference to even make an educated guess. I've never seen any of this before.
Nobody
I'll
has.
tell you, like, okay, so my experience during COVID, I live in Ohio. I don't live in a cough's distance from anyone I know. You know what I mean? It's open space. So we were isolated, but it wasn't oppressive. I'd go outside, walk. I go to New York. I was telling you, maybe a couple weeks ago when they opened all the comedy clubs back up. Just to show support for the clubs that nurtured, my career early on, and it was a tough one. I'd been there before, like the Saturday Night Live week. That week was, unseasonably warm. Biden had just won that weekend, so people were celebratory. This time around, I got a sense of the emotional carnage that happened in that city. And it was significant. It was palpable. Like, you would notice it. I did. And to hear them say it's like, things are getting better. I was like, better? Because I hadn't seen New York since it was like incredibly healthy. In the non-COVID times, I've heard a $2 trillion economy just in the 5 boroughs of New York. I don't know what's going on there now. Restaurants opening at limited capacity. People, it takes courage just to go to a coffee shop or this, that, or the other. Especially with this problem of trust being in deficit.
Yeah.
It's just a tough one.
Well, it's also a lot of people are moving out. When people are moving out, you get the sense like it's an abandoned ship, like it's a sinking ship. And then people don't want to invest money in it. They don't know what to do. They're not sure if they should stay. They start looking at other states where things are open. Maybe we should just move. Maybe we should forget about this business and start fresh in Florida or move to Texas or whatever.
I'm not judging.
Yeah, I can't imagine New York City not coming back from this.
It'll come back. It just won't come back the same. It's going to be different. It's going to take a long time.
You think anything will be the same after that? It'll take a minute, bro.
It'll take a minute.
It'll be a new normal, though.
Well, even Austin, it's not the same. It's actually bigger. It's growing.
This city grew, I'm sure.
Grew.
I'm sure a lot of people from the Bay moved here for the tech jobs.
Yep.
The weather's good.
Yep.
The restrictions aren't as oppressive.
People are nicer too. That's the big one for me. My feelings here are different. I feel I have less anxiety here. I feel like people are nicer. They're genuinely friendly.
But do you think that people are nice, or do you think the circles you were rolling in California weren't as nice?
No, it's just regular people that you meet. Like there's a guy in my neighborhood. I look forward to waving to this guy every day. He's an old dude who works on his lawn. And this motherfucker will wave at everybody who drives by. He's there digging, like, he sees a car, it's like,
No, that's hilarious.
and every day I see that guy, I get ready. I'm gonna wave to my friend. I see him, he waves at me, make a little eye contact. It feels good. I never got that in California. Nobody ever stopped from digging in their lawn to look up and wave at you at every car that passes by. This guy waves at every car.
That's sweet.
It's sweet.
How old is this guy?
Probably 70s, 80s.
Okay.
Older fella.
Because a guy my age would be weird. What's happening? Nobody wants to see that shit.
Yeah, that's a little odd. He's a little too friendly.
Call the police.
Yeah, 20-year-old kids doing laundry out there waving at everybody.
Hilarious.
Yeah, no, it's age appropriate. But it's just, there's friendly people out here, man. There's less of them. People value people when they're not a burden. When you get to, 20 million people, whatever the fuck LA is, People they lose their value. They become annoying. There's too many of them on the highway in front of you. There's too many of them around you. You know?
Well, let me ask you this: what is the mechanics of your day like? Is your day mechanically the same as LA? Minus the comedy, obviously, it's COVID. But I would imagine you work out a few hours a day, no matter where you are. You do your show a few hours a day, if you're here or there. You kick it with your wife a few hours a day, your kids. What else do you do here that you don't here?
It's just quieter.
It just feels better.
It feels better. It feels better. Like, I like the vibe of the city
I'm
better.
making a comeback.
How so?
It's like
Be your best self.
no one's trying to be famous here. There's a thing in Hollywood, even if you're not a person who's in show business, maybe you had an ambition and you abandoned it. Or maybe you think like now because of reality shows and because of social media, maybe you don't even have to be famous for your talent. You just have to be famous. Like look at the Kardashians and a lot of people that are famous just for being famous. Like there's a weird currency in having a lot of people know who you are. There's a social status to that exists in LA that is primary.
That's
it's above
very
all.
true.
It's above all.
All right, well, let me say this. First of all, when I remember meeting you in the 90s, this thing never really seemed to affect me. You seemed serious about comedy. I heard whispering that you did Kung Fu. You know, but you weren't like you were social with all the comedians, but you weren't like the hangout kind of guy. You always off doing your own thing. And even this podcast, even though it grew to be a big thing when it started, I don't even think you would start it with the intention of blow this motherfucker up. You just did it.
Yeah, there was never a thought of blowing it up. It was just silly. This is a video, the funny video that was in the Comedy Store documentary, Tom Segura leaving my house, talking about leaving my house and talking to Red Band, saying, what is he doing? Why does he do this? And he's like, I don't know. He wants to do it all the time. He wants to do this stupid fucking podcast that no one's listening to.
Yeah, it's dope. It's dope. I mean, but at that time, and even still, the way I remember LA, it's winter surf. And earlier in my career, like if you're doing well in LA, like now it's fun as fuck out there. You know, all the ropes open up, and oh, Mr. Chappelle, and they accommodate you expertly because they're so proficient with hospitality.
Yeah.
But if you're not doing good, they'll remind you just as quick.
Yeah, it makes you feel bad.
It makes you feel bad.
I've seen people, the look on their face when you pass through the line and the security guard goes, oh, come on up here. And the other people that are waiting, they watch you walk through, they feel terrible.
Oh, God, I hope not. Because I do it all the time. Nigga. I'm a rope crossing motherfucker. No more waiting for me.
Yeah, but you know what I'm saying? Like for those people that are in that line, to be that person that gets called to the front of the line and the doors just open, they grab that velvet rope. Oh, Mr. Chappelle.
Right, flagrant elitism.
Yeah, they love it. They love it. They wish it was them.
Yeah.
And they want to be hanging with you. Maybe if I'm hanging with Dave, I'll get through that rope.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
I'm with Dave. Oh, you're with Dave. Come on in.
I told you the first time I met Denzel Washington, the guy did that to me. Came with my table like, you know, Dave, I hate to bother you, but Denzel Washington, would you like to meet him? Yeah.
The battle starts in 5.
Wow.
Denzel Washington, Dave
3,
Chappelle.
2,
Oh my God,
1.
Denzel very gracious. And then the guy goes, and my name is, I'm like, oh, this motherfucker didn't know me, but he used me. It's wild out there.
That's hilarious.
It's wild out there, man.
Yeah, it is wild. There's social climbers in LA that it's an art form. They're skilled. They know how to do it.
I think I moved to Ohio initially to be free of these feelings you described.
Yeah.
This idea that, I started so young that I didn't know how to untether the rest of my life from those interests. And geography was the quickest life hack.
I love the way you talk about Ohio. I really do. I've always loved it. I love you do a lot of things that I think are awesome.
Man, thanks, bro.
It's just, you've always been a kind person, despite all of your success, all the accolades, all the love that you get. You've never let it turn you into someone who felt like you were better than other people. Like I've seen you, the way you interact with the door people at the store. That to me is everything.
Right.
How do you treat the door staff? How do you treat the bartender? Are you friendly with all those folks? You know, and if you're not, man, you're kind of missing the whole point. Like you can make someone's day just by being cool.
That's what always makes me laugh about Punky.
Yes.
The last time I saw her, she was a bar back.
Now she's on
And the
SNL.
next time I saw her, she was rehearsing at SNL. I remember she real good.
She's amazing.
And I thought of all the comedians that might treat the bar backs like shit. Like, you better be careful.
Yeah, right?
Security, Idris Elba, the famous actor, used to be a security guard.
Really?
Caroline. Yeah. He asked me, I used to buy weed.
You know, you used to buy weed from Idris Elba?
Yeah. I don't know if I can talk about it.
Yeah, you can talk about it.
I did.
It's
Yeah, I
legal
did.
now in New York.
Yeah.
You know, he had a kickboxing fight. He's a legitimate Muay Thai fighter.
I heard he's nice with it.
Oh, yeah, he's good. And he fought a good guy. Like, it wasn't a bullshit fight. It was a fight. It wasn't like he went out there and just knocked this guy out with one punch.
They
He
were
had a fight.
scrapping.
Oh, yeah, it's a good fight. And he trained for a long time. Like, this, pull up some video footage of Idris Elba hitting a heavy bag.
This I gotta say.
Idris Elba's got skills. He trains hard. And he, I think he did it for a television show. So I think they documented his training. And he trained for quite a long time. And, you know, Muay Thai is that's a fucking brutal way to fight. Kicking legs. And
Is that the
knee
shit that
in the
they
body.
do in Thailand?
Yeah, that's the shit they do. in
Nice
Thailand.
deep
I went to a Muay Thai fight sometime. Look at that.
Yeah, he's getting after it. So he would train at this like legit Muay Thai gym, and you watch him. I mean, if I saw him about to fight in the UFC, I'd go, not a good move.
I'm back in the fight.
Look at it, he got dropped there. Like he's training. He's doing real. I mean, he's getting his legs kicked, the whole deal. And you could tell that this is, you know, they're not cutting any corners. He's doing the hard work, the real hard work.
Well, you can't expect to win them all.
Man, I came across
So here's his fight. So he had like a fucking real
Sure.
fight. Oh, it's a real fight, man. A real Muay Thai fight. I mean, they were getting after it. Is it showing the fight? Oh, so there's a whole documentary on it.
If you think about most actors, you know, too, I don't know if they
There he
got
is.
this kind of grit
No.
or humility to possibly get their ass whooped in front
yeah.
of everybody.
That's the thing. I mean, every human being can get knocked the fuck out, right? We saw that with Jorge Masvidal. Jorge Masvidal, when he got knocked out by Usman, Masvidal he had an iron chin his whole fucking career. He'd only been like dropped a couple of times, and he was fine every time. Like dropped by big guys like Darren Till dropped him, but I mean, he's one of the best strikers in the sport. And then when Usman flatlined him, everybody's like, oh shit. Everybody can get knocked out. The human brain, the human body, the way your face is constructed, it's just not designed to get punched. So look at this right here. That could have easily killed
That
him.
would have dropped me.
Yeah, a good shot. I mean, he's got good defense though. He fought well. He did everything well.
I
And it
could
was a
beat
good
any
fight.
fighter alive at the press conference. but that shit, forget it.
The right heroes
Yeah,
can make all the difference.
It is a real fight. They're showing in slow motion. It was, you know, it's hard. Fighting's hard. It's hard not to look sloppy. You know, it's hard to look to get to a point where you're looking like, you know, an Andre Berto or like a Floyd Mayweather. Or, you know, it takes a long fucking time to develop that kind of timing and poise and movement.
A lifetime.
Yeah, forever. So what he did though is it shows character that he took that chance. That's a rare person.
When my kid was young, my youngest son, he got really into boxing. I used to take him down a wild card
Really?
in Hollywood. We were in L.A. And he trained with Justin Juco and shit like that.
Yeah.
Juco was a great trainer because he'd make everything fun for my son. And my son got really into it. And one day, he was young. He's like, I want to spar somebody. And so they put him in the ring with this top amateur contender. Little guy, but you know, he was nice with it. And my son in his little child talk was like, I'm gonna fuck this guy up. I'm like, no, you're not. They got in there and you know, he did all right, but the gym got real amped. And I remember one of the fighters came over to me and was like, this thing your son has, you can't train that. You're either this way or you're not. Like he
Right.
This
liked it.
tenacity.
Yeah.
So I always thought about that. You can't train that. You're either this way or you're not.
Well, some people they can get better at it. You can get better at tenacity. You can get better at mental strength. It's not totally innate. Like some people are just born with it though. Some people are ferocious from the jump.
Where did you fall in that spectrum?
I don't remember because it's so long ago. But I always had unusual power because I have a weird frame, like a very large hands for my body, and I have wide shoulders, and I can generate a lot of force. And so the problem with that is I would load up. and it took me a long
What do
time.
you mean load up?
I would try to knock people out all the time. That was awful. Like, this is
I can't
most
imagine.
Taekwondo tournaments. Like a lot of most of the fights are won by points. They're won by decision. I won most of my fights by knockout. A lot of them by knockout. I mean, maybe not most of them, but I was always trying to knock someone unconscious.
What does it feel like to knock somebody out? Is it satisfying? Does it scare you at all?
It's shocking, and it doesn't feel good. It never feels like great. I would pretend it felt great. I'd be like, yeah, but meanwhile I was like, what the fuck?
Right.
Part of me would be like, what the fuck? It's always felt weird. There was one time that I never recovered from. When I was 19 years old, I fought in Anaheim, California. Flew out here to fight in the Nationals. Won my first fight. Then I won my second fight. I was fighting this kid, and I was there with just me and my friend Junksick. He was coaching me. He was cornering me. And this guy, they had their whole team with them, and there's all these people in the stands that were... I remember saying, come on, Johnny, get him, Johnny, get him, Johnny. And I knew this dude was just a little slow, and he was doing some things, and I was seeing some openings, and I hit him harder than I've ever hit anybody in my life. I hit him with a wheel kick, I hit him so hard, I was limping for a couple days afterwards because my heel hurt from hitting his head. And I flatlined him. He face planted, he started snoring, and he never got up. They carried him off a stretcher. He was unconscious for half an hour. And they eventually carried him off, put him in a stretcher, brought him to the hospital. But he literally never stood up and walked around. And
That's scary.
it scared the shit out of me.
And
then
you
went
like
back.
the dude.
I didn't know the dude. He was from Chicago. I was from Boston, and we just met in California.
That's what's weird about boxing. Like, beating somebody up that you're not angry at.
Right.
Is a wild thing to think about.
It is wild. Yeah. They do it all the time. You know, a lot of MMA fighters, they're good friends up until, a lot of them train together. And then they go and they fight. But I went back to my instructor. And my instructor was a hard man. This Korean dude who had been taught by General Chae Young-yi, who's the original founder of Taekwondo, who used to train troops in Vietnam. I mean, this guy was hard. And when I went back and told Mr. Kim, I said, we were talking about the tournament. He goes, I heard you had a really good knockout. And I said, it was very scary. I go, made me nervous there because he never got up. I mean, I thought he was dead. And he goes, sometimes they die.
Wow.
And then he walked away.
Wow.
And then I was like, oh shit, they is me.
Yeah, how old were you then?
19. And that was the decline of my Taekwondo career from that moment on. My fighting career, I fought for a couple more years, but I lost a lot of my enthusiasm with that one fight.
Did the fighting and the stand-up overlap?
They overlapped for 3 kickboxing fights. I had 3 kickboxing fights while I was doing comedy, and I wasn't committing 100% to either one of them. I was half in with both, and then I realized I couldn't do it anymore. And I actually got told by a dude who was an open micer. He actually said something that was so true I couldn't even argue with him. He goes, you started out pretty funny. He goes, but you lost steam somewhere along the line. And I remember looking at him going, fuck, he's right.
Wait. In what context did he say this?
Talking about comedy, like who's getting good, who's getting bad. We were all like a year in, we were all struggling. And we were sitting around talking about, oh, this guy's really funny and that guy's really... He's like, yeah, you started out pretty good, but it seemed like you lost steam.
Really?
He wasn't even being mean to me. He was just being honest.
What was he seeing?
I just wasn't as into it because I was still fighting. I was still doing both things, and I was still teaching. I was still teaching at Boston University. I taught a course.
So you started stand-up in Boston?
Yeah.
That's a weird circuit.
It was a good circuit.
It's a great circuit. It's an anomaly.
It was a good place because it was. They have no tolerance for bullshit. There's no dilly-dallying up there. They want punchline, set up punchline, bang, bang, bang. They want entertainment.
That Don Gavin
Don't be
shit.
late. Yeah. Don Gavin, Lenny
Sweeney.
Clark, Steve Sweeney.
Yeah, man. I remember when I was a kid, I used to catch a train up to Boston and work out with these kids.
Yeah.
And it was the first circuit I'd ever seen guys making like 6 figures in that little city. They would go to bars and shit, and if you think they played for the Celtics or something, like the town embraced the local comedians. Like they were stars in Boston.
Oh yeah, like nothing else. There's no other comparison to any other city that's like that.
What was the guy who used to drink all the time? Teddy Bergeron.
Oh yeah.
You remember him?
Oh yeah.
Well, when he was in it, he was a beast.
Teddy Bergeron had one Tonight Show set that was so fucking brilliant. It was so brilliant, and then apparently he got fucked up on pills and booze, and they made him stick around. But he came back, and he was so fucked up on drugs that it like tanked his career. Like, so he had this one set that was magic, and you watch that set, you're like, my God, that guy might be the best comic alive.
Right.
He was so smooth.
I remember opening for him.
He was so smooth. He was so good. He was so good. He was such a smart guy too, such a good writer. But you know, success and the demons. I mean, that's why. One of the things that's very impressive to me about people like you that manage the success, it doesn't change your personality. You whatever anxiety comes out of all the pressure and all the people paying attention to what you're doing, you roll with it and you handle it. Some people don't. You know, it's that scrutiny, being that the object of attention, is crippling for some people.
I think early in my career, I didn't know how to handle that. You know what I mean? I was a kid. I was immature. It was a weird thing.
But you still handled it well. Even though you didn't know how to handle it, you figured it out. Like, you did it. It was a struggle, but you never became an asshole.
No.
You never fell apart.
I think life is too just humiliating of a practice. You know what I mean? No matter how you feel about yourself, you get up in the morning, take that first shit of the day. You're a person.
Yeah.
Fingers is like gross.
No, yeah, it's true. It's true. Yeah, I mean, the more things that I do that are humiliating or humbling's probably the better word. The more things I do that are humbling, the better it is for me.
Well, the thing I like about your comedy origin story, like I was fighting, I was teaching, you said, and I was doing stand-up, I didn't commit to all of it. But now, that sounds like the recipe for everything you do.
Well, the things I do now, they enhance the other things. Like, if I'm doing a podcast, I think it enhances my stand-up. But it enhances my perspective. More people I can talk to, more ideas I can take in, more conversations I can have with people. I get a better understanding of people. Like, I'm building a mountain out of layers of paint. Like, every day I'm getting a little bit more understanding of people, a little bit more understanding of myself.
You got a broad base, man. Like, you know, I see you talking to people like Malcolm Gladwell. I read his books. It would intimidate me to just chop it up.
He's a good dude. He's easy to talk to.
He seems like a good dude. I don't know it all, but he's a brilliant dude. You are a brilliant dude. But it's just weird. It's weird that I know you. You know what I mean? It's just so strange. Like, I think back when we were all so young, nobody knew if we were gonna make it, not make it, this, that, or the other. And what our careers evolved into. And I use the word evolved very specifically in your case. None of it was obvious.
No.
The MMA thing is not obvious. This podcast is not obvious. And these things were what made you know, a multi-million-dollar player. I mean, sitcoms, that's like the obvious shit. We all did that shit.
Yeah.
You found your way. It's really hard to do.
I've just been lucky that I've always listened to my own instincts in terms of, like, what do I enjoy doing? Whether or not it's a good career move or not, I enjoy doing it. Like, the early days, MMA wasn't a good career move at all. Like, the people that I was working with on news radio, they would talk to me about it like I was doing porn. They were like, why are you doing this? You're going to Alabama to do some cage fighting commentary? Like, what the fuck are you doing? Back then, I wasn't even doing commentary. I was interviewing fighters. I was just interviewing them. I was the guy who would interview the fighters after the fight was over.
Would you call fights?
No, I didn't call fights until 2001.
Oh,
that was the first time I called a fight. 1997, I was just an interviewer. I did it for a couple of years, and I enjoyed it. But it was just fun to be there. It was cool. I would just fly into these weird places, like, you know,
right,
Dothan, Alabama. You know, like weird little spots you'd obviously never go to otherwise.
And that MMA thing was just kind of starting out. I remember I didn't see. You know, I started seeing like the Horace Gracie fights and shit like that in maybe the early 90s.
Yeah.
They started doing it. Shamrock was another place.
Yep, 93 is when it started.
Yeah.
Yeah, I came around in 97. So I did it in 97 and 98. And then it was costing me money. I could make more money doing a club for a weekend, a comedy club, than I could doing these gigs. And then, you know, I just decided I'm just going to stay a fan. I'll just watch it from afar. I did it. I did the little interview thing. It was fun. And then the UFC was purchased by the Fertittas, and Dana White and I became friends because I was on Fear Factor, and he gave me free tickets to come to the fights. That's when no celebrities really knew what it was, and so if you could get a celebrity to sit up in front row, and then they would interview me, and I knew so much about fighting, I started asking questions about guys that are fighting in Japan, and then Dana and I went out to dinner, and he was like, why don't you do commentary? And I said, man, I don't want to do commentary. I want to get drunk and watch fights. Like, come on, man.
Man, props to Dana White, though.
Yeah.
That's a good move.
Yeah, he saw me on the Keenan Ivory Wayans show, too, making fun of Steven Seagal. We were talking about martial arts, and Dana thought it was hilarious. And then we started talking about commentary, and then he talked me into doing one. I did like the first 15 of them I did for free. I did it for a while, like more than a year, like maybe 2 years. I did it for no money. I just got free tickets. He just flew me out.
It's that, though. You know, these paths in life, they reveal themselves. And this goes back to what we were saying earlier. If you look at things through the lens of money or monetary gain, you will miss so much.
You miss so much.
This thing about just following a passion, having a good dinner with somebody, yeah, I'll do it.
Yeah.
That's usually how the greatest things happen. When I did Stars Born, I don't do movies. I'm so glad I did it. And it was just because I liked Bradley Cooper. I kept meeting him at parties.
That's awesome.
And I just like the guy.
No, yeah, that's being able to just do what you enjoy doing. That's the real success of life. Because if you're making a lot of money but you hate what you're doing, like when I was doing Fear Factor, I didn't enjoy the job. I enjoyed the people I was working with. It was fun. They were a good group of people. We had a lot of fun. We had a lot of laughs. But it wasn't what I wanted to do. I was doing it for money.
Right.
And but it gave me, the good thing was it gave me fuck you money. So it gave me money where I had money squirreled away. I was like, ooh, I can relax now. Now I just do what I want to do. And what I wanted to do was like do this stupid podcast. And then, do these MMA shows, go and do commentary. And I did all that shit. Again, it was all just because I enjoyed it. And then that became my life. My life became only things I enjoy. So now, whether it's podcast, or whether it's stand-up, or whether it's commentary, it's just I enjoy it. I look forward to it.
I had a year like that, right? Maybe the year before I did Chappelle's show. It was just like I was saving up to take a chance. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So that when it came time to do Chappelle's show, the money was terrible, but I saved up. I could take the shot.
Yeah.
To come off the road. Take a real shot. And it made all the difference in the world.
When you take a chance, it's such a weird feeling. Taking a chance, like doing something, even just moving here. It's so exciting. So exciting when you don't know how it's going to play out. It's so nerve-wracking. It gets you. Like, fuck, is this the right move? Maybe I should just play it safe and stay where I am. I mean, LA's got to open back up eventually.
No, this was a great move. And I can't imagine what she saved for taxes.
I don't know. It's a lot, though. 13%? That's what California state taxes are?
Yeah.
It's crazy.
I'm not even good at math, and I know that's stuff.
It's going to get worse, too, man. It's going to get worse.
What?
Because they're jacking the taxes up. They're trying.
Oh, yeah. That's
They're
going to
jacking them up in New York.
You know what? Yeah, they're fine. Whatever.
Listen, if I felt like it fixed things, I would be happy.
It's that. When I was with Jon Stewart,
Final score. 1,
we were in
2, 3.
Copenhagen. And, socialized country. And Jon Stewart said to me something like, he said, you know the difference between a taxpayer here and a taxpayer in America? He said, these people think they get something for their money.
Yeah.
But I think socialism or something like that only works in homogenized countries. Like everyone in China is Chinese. There's a lot of white people in Copenhagen. I think, you know what I mean? I think in America, it's the them or the they of it all that fucks us up.
It's also small populations, right? It's like one of the things I was saying about Austin. One of the ways Austin works is there's only 1 million people in the city. And then there's another million on the outskirts. That's not a lot of people.
That's not a lot of people, no.
That's not a lot of people. It's one of the reasons why it works. It's like people are valuable. They're not a problem. Even when you're in traffic, it's like 5 minutes. Like, oh my God, so much traffic. Took you extra 5 minutes.
Right.
It's nothing.
Not coming from LA. Nothing is traffic after LA. Maybe Atlanta.
Yeah, Atlanta's rough. Chicago's rough. I remember doing radio in Chicago. I was doing the Schaumburg Improv, and you do radio in the city, and then you got to go back out to Schaumburg, and you're like, holy shit, this is far. There's so much traffic. There's so many people. Big cities. That's the rub on big cities is that people, they don't value each other as much. When you're in a place like Copenhagen or any of these like whether it's Denmark or these places are not that big.
Right.
They're big enough, but they're not that big. United States is so big. It's so big. It's so big and it's so different. There's so much going on. So many cities everywhere. Everywhere's different. So many climates. 350, whatever the fuck it is, million people.
Yeah, but if you see an American when you're outside of America, you know they one of us.
A lot of times.
Yeah.
A lot of times. The lines are getting blurry now, though.
How do you mean?
You might think someone's American. You talk to them, like, hello, mate.
Oh, right.
Look at you, motherfucker, with your backwards baseball hat on.
That is true.
Yeah.
I play overseas a lot now. And, I used to do it when I was a kid. It was more challenging. This internet makes all the crowds kind of the same.
Yeah.
They know every reference.
Yeah.
And American culture is still a marquee culture. Like, they know so much about our political lives. They know so much about our cultural lives. So much more than we would know about them.
Yeah.
Going over there.
Yeah, for sure.
And on stage, like I was doing a show in Tokyo. I'd never worked in Tokyo before.
What was that like?
If I took a picture from the stage and asked you where I was, you'd think I was playing San Francisco.
Really?
It was interesting. Yeah, some of the people who came didn't even speak English. They just wanted to see the spectacle of
Oh, wow.
because they had heard of me.
Oh, wow. That must be wild.
It's Netflix, man. Like, look, you get out in that world, Joe, you're famous everywhere. You've never been to these places. When you get there, they're going to know you. Or there's a thing that happened to me years ago in London where I was in a restaurant and I was kind of waiting for the table and the lady, she asked me my name. She said, what's your name? I go, David. She goes, well, this is David on the list. What's your last name? I go, Chappelle. She looks up. And I look around and everyone's kind of looking. I could tell they'd heard of me, but they didn't know that was me.
Oh, right.
It was that kind of thing.
Yeah.
This was after I quit the show, but not long after, like 05, 06.
What did you do for those 10 years?
A lot of shit. I learned a lot. I mean, but it was a humble existence. I had young children. I was raising my kids. I was living a suburban life. And then every once in a while, I get this feeling like I'm the funniest guy. I got to get out there. And I would like fly to Denver, do a week in Denver. And that's when you would read I was doing like these 6-hour shows. I performed like I was desperate for it. I loved it.
Yeah.
And at one point, I had done one of these big comedy tours that Live Nation put together. I did all right. I had a good run. I wiped out in Hartford, and that was all over the internet. It was the first time that came out. But for the most part, the tour went good, but it was a tough tour for me because it was a long show. I had to close it. My chops weren't as tight as they were. I didn't suck by any means, but it could have been better.
Humbling.
It was humbling, but it made me want to go back. And the shows were like, every show was like 20,000 seats.
What year was this around?
Shit, I can't remember. Obama was president, maybe. I don't know, 8, 9, 10.
But you were famous for just showing up places. You would just fly in.
That's the one. That's when I started doing. I used to, in the summer, I started riding motorcycles, which is like very uncharacteristic of me, but I loved it. I said I'm gonna ride my bike across country, and I did. I cheated. I had a tour bus with me. It's a trailer, so if it rained or something, or if I just wanted to bail, I could. But I rode across country, and I'd never seen America like that. When you talk about how big it is and expansive, and man, I saw all the little pockets. On a bike, you really feel the environment, you see things.
Get ready.
And I'd stop and play. One of my favorite birthdays was here in Austin. I'd never been to Austin really, and I pulled up on 6th Street. I'd been to Austin, but I'd never seen Austin. Pulled up on 6th Street, it was my birthday. I was riding with the guy. He's like, what do you want to do for your birthday? And at that time, I wasn't drinking or smoking or anything. I said, I want to do stand-up. And I found a bar. It was right around closing. And I saw the DJ packing up, and I said, and he recognized me. So he was like, oh, yeah. And I went up there, and I just started talking shit. And, but it was just like, teasing the bar staff as they're cleaning up, talking to patrons, and get it home fast, buddy, and all that shit.
Right.
And people laugh, and it was like I used to do street comedy in New York. It kind of reminded me of that, like building a crowd. And after a while, people stopped and listened. Now I'm not a tech-savvy dude. Twitter it. And I guess people had started tweeting like, yo, this is crazy. Dave Chappelle just in here ranting. It might have took like an hour. That place was packed. And I must have stayed on stage 3 or 4 hours.
Wow.
And you know, they closed the door. They locked the door because it was after hours. And I was in there killing it.
Wow.
Best birthday I ever had. One of the best birthdays I ever had. Sometime around when I turned 40, I just decided that I'm going to have fun. You know, like right now, you know, this is a weird thing. Epic DMX passed, Black Rob. You know, now far more often people from my peer group pass away. And it just makes me feel like, it's not a midlife crisis, it's almost the opposite. It's like, look, I know I don't get to stay here forever. My time is limited and precious, and I don't take any of these things for granted. I take this money for granted, this platform, and I'm not talking about the fame platform, I'm talking about comedy. This genre, like, I make it, this genre, it's been so good for me. My social life, people that I've met, the friendships that I've had, some that I've lost along the way, these memories we make, you know. As the years go on, I'm like, what a special, special way to live your life.
Yeah.
And to see the world. Like, it's like when we did those dates, where were we? In Seattle and Utah, was it? Salt Lake City?
Yeah.
And one of those nights there was a massacre in Dayton, which is not far from where I live. And people where I live hang out in Dayton.
Was that the night we were there?
We were together when that happened. That same night, the guy that owned one of those comedy clubs in New York was murdered. It was a really dark night, and I found all this out right before I was going on. You didn't know you were already on stage as this news anchor. I'm sure you got an earful when you got off.
Yeah.
But I was like, phew. You know, during the run, we would go places and I'd see flags, half staff, and I'm like, oh shit, that's for like my city. It really hit home. And the best part of that experience was being with comedians. If anything bad ever happens, comedians are who you want to be. You know, 9/11, I was in a room full of comedians because I had to, you know, I was staying on West Broadway and Canal Street, which is not far from the Trade Center, but Canal Street, I'm on the north side of the street. From the south down, the city was evacuated, so I got to stay in my hotel. But during the day, we didn't know that. We, you know, I had a new baby, and I ended up going to comedians. We lived in Greenwich Village, a bunch of comedians there. As bad as that day was the moment to be in. It's something that these guys and these girls always inspired courage and levity. There's some subtext of comedy that everything's going to be okay.
I spent the day with Joey Diaz and Ralph May.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
9/11?
Yeah.
Yeah, who else would you rather been with? When you think back of the tragedy, I bet you can think of 4 or 5 things you laughed at that day. Not about the tragedy, but you just laughed.
We were high as fuck, and we were just freaking out about the fact there's no planes.
Yeah, it's that. Comedians,
Yeah.
you know, it's funny that this genre is under attack because to me, this is the everything's going to be okay genre.
It's under attack because people have this ability to complain about things now, and then people pile on. It's a new thing, and they realize it's very useful. It's a good weapon, and if you choose targets, you can take targets out. You can go after them. So it becomes a hobby. It becomes a hobby like if you see a window and you've got a rock, you feel like throwing that rock. And so a lot of times these targets aren't justified, but you can find a justification. You can say, oh, they put these words together in this order, and if you look at it in quotes written down on paper, you go, oh, well, this is ableist, or this is this, or this is that. This is something we can attack. Let's attack. This is transphobic. This is homophobic. Attack. And it's a recreation. It's recreational outrage.
It is exactly, you know, the last time I came on your show when Donnell was here, and I fucked up, I looked at the comments section. I'll never do that shit again. I'll never do that shit again. First comment is somebody said, Dave looks like he stinks. Word. Word. Like, what did I ever do to you, bud?
When RZA was on with Donnell, that's the first thing I said to Donnell after the show. I go, hey, man, that was fun. Don't read the comments.
Yeah.
Don't read the comments.
No, don't.
And Donnell just dove right into that comments, and he was on a deep spiral of mental illness for several days.
Yeah, he said, man, it kept saying I interrupt, son. Yeah, yeah, I heard all about it. We was on tour after that. He was traumatized.
He got shook. I told him, stay out of there. Don't read that shit. You're the same person. You don't want to be affected by those people.
No, you don't.
No, because they just want to bring you down to their level. They're
No, but
miserable.
whoever wrote that comment that said Dave looks like he stinks is probably gonna watch this and be like, so congratulations, motherfucker. And I can't wait to read your comment about me commenting on your comment. You're in the big time, bitch. Your mother stinks. Comment on that too.
Battle starts in 5.
Yeah, it's a weird thing, comments. Comments are a weird thing.
I mean, it is. But like you say, and here's the rub, you can just not read them.
Yeah.
Or you can just not click on that special that's going to hurt your feelings. At a certain point, you got to look at this shit like food. What are you eating? What are you putting in your mind?
That's what I keep saying about me when people get outraged about my podcast. I'm like, well, you don't have to listen to it. Like, why are you listening to it, looking for things that are pissing you off? Like, what are you doing?
Yeah, it's like listening to someone's ass when they take a shit and be like, ew, you farted. What the fuck are you doing in here anyway? All these people.
But people are looking to get mad.
There's plenty of things to be authentically mad about.
Yes.
And
But those are confusing and frustrating.
it takes time, patience, research.
Yeah.
Right.
There's a lot going on.
Why
with
do
those.
that?
Yeah.
Why do all that?
Yeah.
I don't know, man. I'm optimistic about the future, but I think because I've never seen these things before, I can't quite call where it's going.
It's a challenging time, but human beings have always done better than the previous generation. Every single generation, if you follow like Steven Pinker's work, from the beginning of time, from recorded history to now, it's the safest time to be alive ever. And it's a very clear trend. We struggle, we have conflict, there's ups and downs, there's mistakes and there's good decisions, but ultimately things become safer, they become better, we accept each other more. I mean, think about like when I was a kid, gay marriage was impossible. Like you couldn't get married if you're gay.
Right.
Whenever they would propose it, people would freak out. Now it's nationwide. It's like things change. Even though there's more violence now than ever, there's not more violence now than ever before. You see it. You see violence now more than you ever have before because of social media. You pull up Instagram videos of car accidents, and gunfights, and crazy shit. But the reality is there's less violence than ever before. There's less murder than ever before. It's a slow trend. And Pinker gets criticized for this because people don't want to hear that. They go, but what about all the injustice? What about all the murders? What about all the crime? There is all that shit. There is rape. All that stuff is real. But it's way less than ever before in history. And I think as time moves on, it'll get even better. There'll be hiccups. There'll be ups
But it's
and
not
downs.
less because people are sick of that behavior. It's not like these things happen less often because people had to do things to make these things
Yes.
happen less
Yeah.
often. It didn't organically just be like, that's enough murder for us. We had to do
Yes.
some shit.
People had to do some shit.
Right. We had to, gay marriage. People had to be made aware
Yes.
of how people are struggling. One of the great things of that movement was when everyone started coming out the closet and everyone realized, like 5 of my best friends are gay and were embarrassed when we were saying this, that, and the other.
Right.
And then you realize you like this person more than you like whatever prejudice you're carrying around. These types of actions are what changes.
Information. Yeah. And as more information gets out about what's avoidable and unavoidable, and the more we get to understand each other, the more we realize we have way more in common than we don't.
Right.
As time goes on, I think we're going to get better. I think our culture, our civilization will be improved upon. Like what we have now, we have now is a very unique struggle that's never existed before. Because it's a combination struggle, right? It's a virus, a disease, it's fear, it's anxiety, and then economic depression, all thrown in together. And it scares the fuck out of people because they're powerless. Because all of a sudden the government comes along and says you can't work, or your business is not essential. Imagine being told you don't have an essential business.
I was.
Well, comedians are,
We're
in a
not
way.
essential.
Fortunately, podcasts were, for whatever weird reason, an essential business. So were liquor stores, which is kind of crazy.
Well, because your podcast was like a beacon of some semblance of normalcy. It didn't look something like, Joe, yeah, you look good, and the world's going on. But there's also something illusory about it.
Yeah.
Because if they see us on yachts popping bottles while they're going through this thing,
Right.
they're going to feel like, well, is something wrong with me? Or like,
Yeah. There's a lot of tone-deaf folks out there that didn't get that. We're out there taking that photo in front of a private jet with a Gucci bag, smiling.
Yeah.
Like, hey, this is not the time for that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's true.
Not the time for flossing.
No.
But for
it's
some
not.
people, that's like a part of their image. Part of what they do.
Yeah, many people.
Yeah.
I think that in their understanding that's almost definitively what celebrity is.
Yeah.
It's like, how am I going to be successful without doing it? And they sell something different than, say, you or I might.
Right. You can't. You're not selling that if you're a comic.
Yeah.
You gotta be careful.
Nah, I'm trying to think. Is there a comic that flosses?
Kevin Hart flosses a little bit.
Never bothered me though.
No, he's a happy. Well, first of all, who the fuck works harder than that guy?
Nobody. Not me. Fuck that. Fuck that.
He makes me feel lazy. He's always like co-producing some project and animating some movie and doing a voiceover of this and starring in that and then doing a theater tour and then he's got Jumanji 5 coming out. So he's always got something happening.
And he's relentlessly kind. And everyone that works with him looks elated and happy. He's not a tyrant. He's like hanging out with a self-help book or some shit. He just makes you feel good.
Yeah, he's a powerful guy.
Hard, it's impossible not to like him.
Yeah.
And in fact, in my mind, he's a great case scenario that a good person can do well.
Yeah.
Because there are some cynics that believe that they can't. I don't know about any crime behind that boy. He's just a good dude.
No, he's just a good dude. You can be a good person and make it. It's just the problem is like making it is usually connected to ambition, which is usually connected to aggression. It's usually connected to someone who's like really fiercely trying to succeed, and a lot of that is usually in a lot of people's eyes that's at any cost, ruthlessly trying to get through the maze of show business of life.
Well, and some people, back to incentives, adopt this ruthlessness thinking, well, that's how things get done.
Yeah.
If I can't do this, then I'll never make it, and that's a myth. Sylvester Stallone had a great quote on the Actors Studio. He was talking about Rocky being a metaphor for acting, and saying that some of the best actors he knew were so sensitive that they couldn't survive the environment. So some of the greatest talent that he witnessed, the masses will never see because they couldn't navigate the rocks as far as commerce is concerned. And that was his fight, so to speak.
Yeah. I would imagine that's. I mean, there's actors that are like real artists. When they're putting together a role, whether it's a Denzel Washington or a Daniel Day-Lewis or you know what I mean? There's like levels of acting, and there's a certain level. Like, they're not like just a regular guy trying to be famous. They got some thing that they've tuned into.
Right.
They can become Gary Oldman. They can become a person.
Man, Daniel Day-Lewis. That motherfucker. Think about it. When he's not working, he's like making shoes and shit.
Yeah.
He's not on what I call the whole stroll, that red carpet. He ain't doing that shit.
No.
He's a serious actor. He's a great artist, and that's why he makes a premium for his work.
I think he quit acting.
He said he retired. Him playing Abraham Lincoln was one of my favorite things I've ever seen someone do. And it's not my favorite movie he's been in, but it's a movie about the passing of a bill. I can't think of a more boring process than fucking the bureaucracy of passing a bill, no matter what the bill's about.
Yeah.
But man, something about that performance made me excited about like art itself.
For me, it's the There Will Be Blood.
Yeah, it's the fucking greatest movie. There Will Be Blood.
That character. He was so many things. He was a murderer. He was evil. He was kind. He was ambitious. He was a victim of circumstance, a victim of his environment, and also, kind of a tyrant.
Yeah, like I picture myself as an actor reading that script and just being like, yeah, I don't get it. Let alone untangling an emotional life for this guy and a rationale for behaving this way.
Yeah.
Man, this guy.
Yeah, he nailed it. But that's what when people think of the worst aspects of ambition, they think of that kind of person, that character that is portrayed. The worst aspects of it, the dehumanizing aspects of ambition.
Yeah, jeez. Some dark shit.
Yeah, dark shit. I drink your milkshake.
And beats a guy to death with a bowling pin, and I'm finished.
Yeah.
No spoiler alert. My bad, everybody.
Yeah. Fucking heavy.
Great though.
Yeah. Brilliant.
You know, it's kind of like one of the things I did after I left the show. I got into boxing. You know, I used to just go to the fights, and part of it was because that era was like Manny Pacquiao was fighting, Mayweather was fighting, Marquez was fighting. All these guys were great fighters, and I got this notion that every time I can be a witness to greatness.
Yeah.
And it's like the fast food of greatness. Floyd fight, you know that's gonna be.
Yeah.
It's gonna be good.
Right.
A Pacquiao fight, you know. I was there when he got knocked out. Like these moments.
You were there when Marquez knocked him out?
Boy, was I. Woo. With my Filipino mother-in-law, she sang the national anthem and everything. I was like, sorry.
Wow.
Yeah, it was crazy, man. But you know.
That was a crazy punch.
That was. Now, who do you have on Saturday? You got
Canelo and Billy Ray Saunders?
Yeah.
Billy Ray Saunders is a problem, man.
And the guy got good feet.
He can move. He can move, but there's no one in the business harder to hit than Canelo right now. He learned something from Floyd Mayweather.
Man, that was like a Harvard ass with
Yep.
And it wasn't even like it was a clinic, bro.
Trouncing.
Yeah,
It's a trouncing.
It's a trouncing. What ass whooping?
Floyd didn't hit hard enough to really give him a real ass whooping or really hurt him and punish him and have him in real trouble. But he boxed him up. Nice.
It was like watching the Globetrotters game.
Yeah.
You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
right.
He was beat handily.
But then if you watch Canelo, like, because Floyd was impossible to hit, and I think Canelo was like, thought he was going to be able to hit him. And then he realized somewhere in the fight, like, this guy knows everything I'm going to do long before I do it. Like, my language, the way I'm speaking with boxing is so slow.
Right.
He's just like, he's just many steps ahead. But then you watch Canelo now, like,
he's slick.
He's so slick. The Danny Jacobs fight's a great example of that.
Yeah,
he's standing right in front of him, just moving the head. His head movement's phenomenal. And that's not indicative of a classic Mexican boxer.
No, they come straight at you.
Yeah.
Die on their shield.
He's not that guy. He's so skilled. He got the rub. That's what we call it. When a great fighter fights another great fighter, they learn something. You learn something from the higher levels. Like when you get beat by a guy, you get that rub. You see a lot of times a guy will come out of a fight with a great fight. He might have lost, but then the next fight you see like, oh, he recognizes the higher frequencies, the higher RPMs of the real true great ones.
I think that was a problem in boxing, this idea that people were addicted to undefeated fighters, but there's something to be said in greatness for getting beat up sometimes.
Yes.
You come back, if you can come back from it with your wits intact and learn the lessons that the ass whooping taught you, you might see something even more special from a guy that got a loss or two on his record.
Yeah, but there's a fine line. There's a type of loss that you never bounce back from, like the Julio Cesar Chavez, Meldrick Taylor loss. Meldrick Taylor lost to Chavez, got knocked out with like, Richard Steele stopped the fight with like 2 seconds to go in the last round. But Chavez was just getting to him, and Meldrick was so fast. Meldrick was a part of that team, that 76 Olympic gold medalist team, not 76, it was 84 team, where it was like Mark Breland, Riddick Bowe. Was Riddick Bowe on that team? No, Tyrell Biggs. Mark Breland, Tyrell Biggs, Pernell Whitaker, Meldrick Taylor. There were so many great fighters, all gold medalists. And Meldrick Taylor was so fast. He was so good. But Chavez was relentless.
Right.
Julio Cesar Chavez was relentless. He just would bob and weave and come pop, 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 pop. And started getting to him. And then finally, last round, boom, drops him. And Richard Steele looks into Meldrick Taylor's eyes and he waves it off with 2 seconds to go. Oh, wow. And everybody's like, oh, shit. He never came back from that. He fought after that. He always looked like something like Julio Cesar Chavez took a piece of him. He never returned 100%.
I tell you it's a guilty pleasure fighting because I see what it does to guys. Riddick Bowe You know, I talked to him once at a fight. I'm like, man, this guy took some shots. And I'm not saying this disparagingly.
No,
I'm saying this.
it's reality.
Yeah, it was tough. It was a tough one. Because, think about how much I enjoy watching these fights. And then come face to face with the price that so many pay.
I saw Terry Norris at a fight once, and he was talking to a fan, and I was moving on my way to the seat, and I heard Terry talking to this guy, and I was like, oh no. It was bad.
Yeah.
It was bad.
Muhammad Ali, my hero. It's tough to watch.
Tough to watch.
I'm Luna Snow.
You know,
It happens to all of them eventually. They keep going. It happens to all of them.
yeah, you gotta hang them gloves up at some point.
Some of them are, like, that's what makes Andre Ward so special. Andre Ward wins a gold medal in the Olympics, wins 2 world championships in 2 different weight classes, retires undefeated. They offer him money to come back. He goes, I think I'm better served as a commentator. I'm done. Talks perfect. Had him on the podcast. Brilliant guy, thoughtful, articulate, smooth, classy. Yeah,
one of my prized possessions is some gloves he signed for me. I'm a big fan of the Bay Area.
Glow up.
And I was, before the Warriors
30 seconds
were
before you
champs,
attack. Get ready.
Andre Ward was carrying Oakland. He was their champion.
he's doing it with one arm. You know that?
No.
Yeah. Andre Ward's right shoulder's basically been useless.
That's right. Okay.
Most of his career.
Yeah, this is when he was, I don't know what kind of contractual disputes he had. He had the shoulder surgery.
Mm-hmm.
He was going through all that. And we had a conversation about it. I was really inspired meeting him, and we had a conversation about exactly what you're talking about. He was talking to me. We didn't know each other well. I just happened to meet him. And he talked to me about hanging his gloves up. It's a crazy thing for a comedian to hear. Imagine saying, okay, I'm done with comedy. I could quit. I could say I quit the limelight. I don't know if I could quit doing stand-up in some way, shape, or form. I don't know if I could take 30 years off like Eddie.
Right. Yeah, Eddie keeps talking about coming back, right? But he still hasn't.
Listen, bro. He's funny as fuck. As far as a naturally athletic comedian, I don't know that I've ever seen his equal.
Yeah, I think you're right. Remember that?
I've ever seen his equal.
That speech where he talked about them taking Bill Cosby's
Mark Twain prize away. I was there when he said that. It was so, I can remember too all the comedians who were there crowding around the monitor. It was the first time he did anything that looked like stand-up.
Right. And he was smooth.
Right. He stopped doing stand-up in '87. The year I started.
That's incredible.
This entire time. And so if he does come back, I'd be the first person to buy a ticket. I would watch a bad Eddie Murphy show. If he was really trying to do a thing, then before I would go see one of my own.
I remember we were, I forget what club in New York we were talking, and Chris Rock was talking about how good Cosby was. He went to see Cosby
at the Apollo. I've heard this story. Yeah.
And Bill Burr and I were planning on seeing Cosby. We're trying to figure out where we should go.
I'll tell you where, a correctional facility in Pennsylvania. That's where he's at. As we speak.
It was before all that shit happened. We were thinking about going to see him somewhere.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I look at these kids coming up, and there's things that they do much better than we did. They can all produce, they can all generate their own, they make you that nothing.
Right.
In the 90s, you go to the fucking comedian's parking lot at the Comedy Store. That shit used to be filled with shitty cars.
Yeah.
And now you'll see a guy you never even heard of get into the hottest whip.
Yep.
It's that now.
Yeah.
I don't know. These guys look like straight up contest winners. Who the fuck is this guy? They're killing it.
Internet money.
Right. But what's too bad about it is we're from a process of refinement that doesn't exist anymore.
Right.
They'll never.
The road when you're anonymous.
Right. The road when you're anonymous. Just being on the strip or in a smoking night. Well, not smoking. No one smokes anymore. But in one of those nightclubs.
Yep.
It's a lot to miss.
Yeah. The grind, the long grind of developing a real act. And to do it also where there's no cell phones, there's nothing, there's no distractions.
Right. They're competing with too much, and that's too bad for them. But I don't fault them for it. I'm impressed that these kids made a new way, but I like the way we do it.
There's a new way that they're doing where one of the things that showed people's ability to improvise and to change was during COVID. A lot of people started doing things online, and like Andrew Schultz, the best example, I think. He started doing those things like turn your phone sideways and those long rants, like 10, 15-minute rants with photographs and punchline after punchline after punchline. And then they did a whole Netflix special about it. Like he did a series of Netflix pieces on it. And what he did was he said, okay, I can't do stand-up, but this isn't stand-up, so I shouldn't do stand-up like this because there's no audience. So the key to this, and he figured it out. He's like, the key to this is you got to hit it fast. The punchlines have to come one after the other after the other. It's got to be fast-paced with images. So like he would use all these visuals while he was hitting punchline after punchline.
Oh, wow.
He figured out a new way to do comedy. He figured out a way to do internet, Instagram, 10-minute comedy.
Well, okay, but that's not, like you said, that's not stand-up.
No.
Right? Like this thing that you're describing, God bless him.
Yeah.
That's not what I do.
Yeah, it's different.
Yeah.
It's different. It's different than the way he does stand-up, which is interesting, because his stand-up is slower. He holds laughs. He holds pause. He laughs at shit. He fucks around. He works a crowd a lot. His stand-up is loose.
Right.
He has fun. He's comfortable up there.
Right.
But these little clips that he does on Instagram, like rapid fire, bang, bang, bang. And he works with a series of writers. They all work together. They put these things together. They work it out, man. By the time it's done, and he is a polished machine. But he used that time and innovated, you know? And
that's clever.
Yeah.
I don't think it's not, but I'm not interested in it because, no disrespect to him, I like happening in real life.
Yeah.
Like even during COVID, the fact that we found a way to get in front of audiences again meant the world to me. That's what I do.
Yeah. It's a different thing.
Yeah. I mean, I could throw a slideshow and the shit if I want to, but if that crowd's not there, what's the fucking point?
I know what you mean, but for him, he's coming up still. You know, you'd already made it.
Well,
you
no,
just wanted
yeah,
to get back in there.
Yeah, and it's a whole different ball of wax. That's what I'm saying. Like that thing that evolution he was able to make. That's, I'm like the old guy who has that hot outfit from the '70s. Go fashion, go on without me. I look fine. I'm that. I'm good with what I do.
Those shows we did at Stubbs felt real special.
It might not ever be that special again because it was hard.
It was hard to do, and it was weird, and it was the fact that you could do a show in a pandemic, like a real legitimate pandemic.
And what it did for the people who were able to come.
Yeah.
And for the comedians who were able to participate. We all felt better.
We felt a lot better. We had some wild fun.
Yeah.
Wild fun.
Life might be okay. Everyone, just to laugh around other people.
Yep.
During a shit show of a circumstance. It was great.
It was great.
I wish that we could have done a more diverse array of shows. That we were locked into the circumstance we're locked in.
Yeah.
We tested everybody everyone bought a ticket, got a COVID test, free mask, and as a comedian, it was a new experience. Being in a room full of people, or whatever that venue was, full of people that just realized that they don't have the dreaded coronavirus.
Right.
And there was a show, and the music's playing, and comedians they recognize come on the stage. It was like pure joy in there. Didn't matter what we said. At a certain point, we were all happy to be there. Comedians didn't take it for granted. You do a million sets, you start thinking it's just another night at the office. But every night at the office could have been the last night at the office.
Yeah, that was the thing about it too. It's like you're never gonna have another day like that, or another series of nights like that where there's the first real pandemic of our lifetime, where things are shut down, but yet we do have this weird opportunity to do shows. So they felt electric.
They really did.
They felt electric.
Those shows that we did will remain etched in my mind.
Forever.
That was special. The fact that, and also, man, no gas or nothing, but the fact that you're as successful as you are, at all these things, you're wildly famous. You're also very unaffected, but you got nervous before your first set. I respected that. I said, okay, see, this guy makes all this money, still cares. It's that.
It's okay.
You see some guys, you can see that you're a fighter. Sometimes the fight gets out of
Yeah.
it.
They
Your
get
belly
soft.
gets full. You don't feel like going as hard as you used to. Or you might start worrying about what they say in the press. And all that shit. None of that shit ever got to you, bro. You was going hard in the paint. It was fun. It was fun to watch. Like I'm like, yo, you going hard in the paint, bro. But it was fun, man. And the spirit that I love about the genre was ever present. Everything's gonna be okay is what the spirit of comedy always tells me.
Yeah.
And it was there. It just made me feel like, wow, this is.
If I can't do comedy, I'm not going to do comedy. You know what I'm saying? Like, if I can't do real comedy, if I can't do comedy the way I've always done comedy, say wild shit that you don't even necessarily really mean, but it's funny. That's why you're saying it. And everybody knows. They know what you're doing. They know what you're doing.
I know guys that you know, and they're famous, but they struggle with this thing.
Yeah, they do. Yeah.
And they stop coming around, and I miss their presence and their voices. And a lot of these young comedians, this process of refinement is gone because they don't have these guys to look to.
Right.
Because, they're making money, and I don't want to upset anybody. And
Yep.
kids are in college or whatever it's going to be.
They don't want to ruin what they already put down. Yeah. They laid down some nice roots. They got a good thing going on. They don't want to fuck it up.
Would you ever leave the limelight?
Yeah, sure.
Does it bother you, the limelight? You don't live in a way where
I don't do limelight things. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't go to
you got to
parties.
try some of this shit out, bro. It's not bad. You got to try some. I mean, look, you don't have to do it all the time, but once and again.
Once and again. I mean, I'm I have needs, and my needs are like exercise, keep my mind straight, all those needs, like those have to be fulfilled.
Help me.
Yeah, they have to be filled for mental clarity. And
I get that.
If I don't do that, I'll lose my way.
You also have a lot of access to shit. Who were you talking to yesterday?
Yesterday was David Holthouse, who's a documentary filmmaker, a journalist.
Yeah, every day you talk to some kind of juggernaut in some field.
Yeah.
Elon Musk and Malcolm Gladwell. What do you think about this shit Elon's going through with Saturday Night Live?
Ridiculous.
Yeah, it's puzzling.
No one is woke enough. They can't appreciate the fact that you're dealing with literally one of the most brilliant men that's ever lived, who's going to come do your show. You're talking about a guy who simultaneously runs multiple world-changing businesses, whether it's Tesla, whether it's SpaceX, whether it's the boring companies making tunnels underneath the fucking earth. He's putting satellites into space to put high-speed internet around the world. He's doing all these things simultaneously.
But can he write a monologue? We're gonna find out. Let's get it.
He's not funny. He's a brilliant guy. He could probably do anything if he set his mind to it, but the fact that they've decided somehow that he's problematic, like, it doesn't make any sense.
I mean,
It
yeah, but no one's
makes
really
sense.
saying what. Is it just because he's rich?
Who knows? It doesn't matter anymore. They just decide, like, what the fuck is this? And everybody's like, what the fuck is this? This is bullshit.
So there was
Why
no
him?
there was no
No,
obvious
there's no
catalyst for this.
No,
Or,
no.
Okay, I was just curious.
There was some people that felt like he dismissed COVID's danger at one point in time. They didn't like him because of that, but he did this because he's intelligent. Because his perspective was, he's a reductionist, or I should say, like, his perspective on it was like looking at the numbers and looking at what it is as a thing, instead of looking at the emotional impact of people losing loved ones. And
Right.
so sometimes someone who's like a genius might say something that appears to be insensitive. I don't think he's insensitive. I think he's just looking at it in terms of, like, what is the odds that you're going to die, and he's saying that children are essentially immune, and he was saying things that a lot of people felt were insensitive. But that was first of all, A, it was a long time ago, and B, he was just explaining his perspective on the disease,
Right.
and he wasn't as fearful as they thought he should be. And then, he came to our shows, and his pictures of all of us hanging out maskless, and then people got COVID afterwards, so a lot of people thought that it was his girlfriend that gave us COVID.
By the way, he and she were very incredibly kind,
Super nice.
unaffected. I teased him about being the richest man in the world. He took it with good humor. And what's funny is I had hung out with him years ago after I quit Chappelle's show. When I was on that tour that I was telling you about, that was a tough one. We hung out on the tour bus, and he says to me that night when we was all together here in Austin, he goes, "I met you before." I'm like, I have no recollection. And he looked kind of hurt. It was a long time ago. He said there was like 2-3 companies ago. And I just thought it was funny, like that he was the richest man in the world.
I think whether the people that are complaining that he's going to be on Saturday Night Live, I think what's going on now is like they want someone to be 100% compliant to whatever ideology they're a part of. And any deviation of that is problematic. Whether it's because they think, like I saw an article that said Elon Musk donated $150 million to some charity and they called him a cheapskate.
It's hilarious.
How hilarious is that?
Well, wait till they see when I'm a billionaire. Talk about, get ready for this cheapskate. No, my brother.
But it was such a shitty article. Just a poorly written knucklehead article.
Yeah, it's again like you say, no one can be woken up. You know, I'm torn because I like a warrior for a good cause, but I'm really in tactics. You're not gonna nag people into behaving
right
in a way that, you know. In fact, if you continue with this tone, even if you're right, it'll be very hard to hear.
Yeah, I think so.
And
it's just I don't mean maybe it was the COVID thing, like I'm saying. But again, if I think back on his statements, I don't think they were particularly insensitive. I think they were just, you know, it was more of like a factual bluntness to the way he discusses things, because he's a numbers guy. He looks at things in terms of equations. He's trying to put people on Mars. You know what I mean?
I remember seeing him on your show once, just like on one of these YouTube clips. But I dug the clip. It was just one soundbite. He said, "I have so much in my mind."
Yeah.
You remember this?
Yeah. Because I asked him, I'm like, "What's it like to be you? Like, what's it like? Just think." He goes, "You wouldn't want to be me."
I remember. Yeah. Yes.
It wasn't bragging. It was just like he's being honest. Like, you wouldn't want this. His brain is like a hurricane. Like, there's just ideas like whoosh, like you could see it while he's sitting there. He's trying to sit here and just have a conversation with you, and he's probably going over fucking equations and thinking about concepts and new ideas and plotting things. And
I remember talking to somebody once. I'm not gonna say who, but they go, more than half the people on Earth live on $1 a day, and at least half of them are happy. He says, I know 20 billionaires, and all of them are miserable.
wow,
And this is reminiscent of the thing my father used to tell me about, just the nature of money. What do you want your life to be like? You know, like a guy who met some billionaires. I don't know who's brimming with having. So you don't seem like he had a good time that night. Kanye, he sometimes has a great time. But I don't know when they're having fun if it's the money that's doing it.
no, it's probably not. The money gives you a certain amount of freedom to do whatever you want to do, but it also comes with so much pressure, so much responsibility, and so much scrutiny. Think about how many people are looking at every single thing that Elon does. Like this Saturday Night Live thing is a perfect example. Like, they've just decided that it's not good that he's on Saturday Night Live. I mean, maybe I'm wrong. Maybe there is like a specific thing they're upset about, but I haven't heard it.
Yes, I'm like literally asking. I'm not indicting the cast members saying I'm fond of all of them, but this one post.
I see what I'm talking about. What I'm saying, I see people online going, "What the fuck is this?" Like, it's not even people that were the cast members that were saying that. It's just folks online that were upset, and I'm like, I don't get it. Like, why are you upset?
What do you think's in it for Elon? Like, if I was the richest man in the world, would I do Saturday Night Live? I don't know. I mean, I might, just because I love comedy so much. But what do you think? I guess he loves comedy.
Yeah, he loves comedy.
Yeah, he does.
I've seen him at the store a bunch of times.
Yeah.
Yeah. Was it cool? Probably cool. That's probably the thought. Oh, that'd be cool. Yeah, I'll do it. But they probably called him. Saturday Night Live wants to know if you want to host Saturday Night Live. Okay. He probably just said okay.
Yeah, there's something about that that's endearing.
It's gonna be interesting to watch his monologue.
I'm gonna watch. Depending on where that fight is. I gotta watch the Canelo.
Oh, that's this Saturday, right?
Canelo Sanders.
That's right.
Hopefully they won't be against each other.
Is that fight out here in Texas?
Dallas, yeah. Oh, 70,000 cap.
70,000 people. Holy shit.
Country's about to open up, man.
It's open. I did Jacksonville, Florida. We did the UFC a couple weeks ago. Holy shit, it was wild.
There must have been
15,000 people.
Oh yeah, I'm scared to go to Florida.
It was wild. It was wild.
You probably see that corona cloud from space in Florida. These motherfuckers been out there getting it.
It was interesting. Nobody had a mask on. It was like there was no COVID. You go everywhere you go, people were just out there walking around.